Hi, it's Natalie here. Now today I'm going to cover a very important topic which you may not be considering on a daily basis, yet has a huge impact on your overall finances and long-lasting wealth creation. And that's the difference between short-term thinking and long-term thinking. So if this is the first time that you're here, make sure that you hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Now, let me explain why this is important. Making decisions based on these two different types of thinking will result in extremely different outcomes. So it's important to understand what they both are and how to start making decisions that will ultimately provide you the most abundant future. So what exactly do I mean by short-term thinking versus long-term thinking? Well, short-term thinking focuses on the now, with little regard for the future. So when you're making decisions based on the short term, you probably decide what decision makes the most sense for you at this very moment. Alternatively, when you make decisions based on long-term thinking or long-term vision, you're most likely looking towards the future and making decisions based on your future self. So long-term vision or thinking requires you to look to the future, whether that's tomorrow, next month, or many years down the road. Now, regardless of the time frame, the key is that decisions based on long-term thinking require you to take into consideration the consequences and the benefits of your current actions, but at a later date. So for example, if physical health is a priority for you, you may find yourself debating over short-term decisions versus long-term decisions on a daily basis. You know, things like choosing a healthier, less satisfying meal because you know that your health is more important than indulging in unhealthy food regularly. Or saying no to watching Netflix on the couch all afternoon because you want to ensure that you have time to fit in a workout. Now, as another example, if your relationship with a partner, a friend, or a family member is important to you, then you may have to make decisions that are uncomfortable in the here and now, like having a difficult conversation with a loved one because you know that if you avoid it and you let things go, things will only get worse down the road. And the same thing goes for your finances. You know, when faced with a decision to save the money that you earned from a paycheck for your future goals, or if you're going to spend it on something that will make you feel happy right now, you may have struggled to think about the long term. I mean, you get the gist. Now, unfortunately, if you're like most people, you probably make decisions, at least in most areas of your life, based on short-term thinking. So why do we do this? Well, one reason is immediate pain avoidance. You see, humans, like many animals, are really good at identifying short-term dangers and challenges, and we're pretty good at avoiding them. Now, on the other hand, the ability to place ourselves in future scenarios and make decisions that are based for our best future self can be a little bit more difficult for us to do. Usually, our short-term needs and challenges take the front seat in decision-making if we're not consciously aware of it. Now, another reason long-term thinking can be difficult for us to execute on a daily basis is due to the messaging and the impact of the media and what society tells us that we need right now for instant gratification. I mean, look around you. Everywhere we turn, every day, our society tells us to make decisions based on what's more pleasurable, or what's easier, or what's more convenient, or less awkward, or something that's more cheaper or more fun. And they say to do it now without considering the future consequences. Now, I'm sure that you can see how it can be difficult to think and make decisions that are based on the future when we're constantly surrounded by media messages that are constantly telling us that we can have anything that we want delivered to our door without much effort, and usually with a discounted offer attached. And then the last reason most of us make decisions from short-term thinking is because practicing long-term thinking or planning actually takes dedication, and it takes self-control. Because while it's often easy to see the value in long-term vision or thinking, actually following through is a completely different story, and it requires awareness and commitment. So how do you change this money belief into one that's, empowering for you? Well, you want to follow these 3 tips. Number 1 is to find an alternative mindset. Now, the key to creating healthy habits that actually last is all about finding alternatives. And that doesn't only mean alternative habits, but it can also mean alternative ways of thinking. So for example, I used to love enjoying a nice warm cup of coffee every morning, but I don't like to rely on it like I used to. Now, in the past, I thought that I needed coffee every day to jumpstart my energy and my focus, which I didn't want to rely on that. So in order to break this habit, I focused on what I was gaining from cutting back on coffee rather than what I was depriving myself of. I looked for fun ways to infuse my mornings with energy, like taking my dog Bella for a walk instead of having a coffee. So if you want to do this in your finances, you should try and find a replacement for your normal short-term thinking or behavior. So for example, if you're used to ordering food or shopping online where you're feeling stressed out, then find an alternative that you can do instead. So whenever you feel like this, so maybe it's calling a friend or going for a walk, find an alternative behavior that shifts you into a more positive mindset and try doing that instead of spending money the next time that you're in that, stressed out situation. Number 2 is to visualize new behaviors. So whenever I'm attempting to change a habit of my own, I use visualization to see the future results and to get excited about the future outcomes of adopting these new behaviors in the here and now. So these tools allow me to remind myself why I'm changing my habits in the first place. And remember, it's not about putting unnecessary pressure on yourself to change everything overnight. It's about being present and staying mindful about the habits that you're engaging in and creating those alternatives for success. A habit is a process that develops over time. So when you can see yourself practicing the good habits, you retrain your brain to make them involuntary. And then number 3 is to know your triggers. Similar to practicing mindfulness, we must also pay attention to our habit triggers. Now, unfortunately, a single habit may often be perpetrated by a trigger. So maybe you've had a long or stressful day and you decide to grab an expensive bottle of wine or hop online to shop so that you can calm your nerves. Well, personal development is all about doing the inner work to uncover your higher, more in-tune self. So whatever the trigger may be, whether it's stress or uncertainty or low energy, it's important to get to the bottom of why a habit continues to come up in your life. So self-awareness plays a big role in creating and sticking to new habits instead of lingering in mindless behavior. And I'm sure that you know by now how much I value the practice of meditation, especially when it comes to creative positive change in your life. So through meditation, I'm able to get clear on what's going on inside me mentally, physically, and emotionally. And staying aware and in tune with my higher self has worked wonders in uncovering those emotional triggers for bad habits. And that brings us to this final exercise. After you watch this video, I want you to pick 1 to 3 situations where you've noticed that you practice short-term thinking over the last couple of days, and then write out a new behavior or a new thought that you're going to choose instead the next time that you're in that situation. And as you know, these don't have to all feel like a chore. You can still find ways to relax and spark joy and so on without spending money impulsively. It's all about finding other alternatives that bring you joy but won't break the bank in the process. And if you want to take it one step further to help you let go of an attachment to some of your triggers and welcome in some new thought patterns, I highly suggest that you take my Success Blocker quiz. It's only 30 seconds and you'll uncover your number 1 block that's paralyzing you from the more success and more wealth that you want. Plus, you'll also get a customized report on what to do about it. Now, the link is in the comment box below and it's completely free. Now, again, my name is Natalie Ledwell. Thank you for watching and bye for now.